What is up, everybody? We are back again today with another episode of Get on My Level, episode 11, I believe. I think I'm right. Who knows? Um, Again, as always, I am accompanied by Android and Live. Boys, say what's up.
What's happening?
Hello, howdy, how's it going?
All right, everybody's weekend pretty good so far.
Man, shit, these shit's happening too quick, bruh. They come and gone by the goddamn time you blink, look up, sneeze twice. It's over.
I mean, true fucking story. True fucking story. Sunday
True,
already.
true.
Yeah. It was just Friday evening,
Bruh.
like 20 minutes ago.
All right. We had a little news this week, not a whole lot. I know we wanted to go over the stuff Life proposed last week. So we'll start out with the news first this week. I don't think there's much that we're gonna delve too deep into because most of it we've either discussed or it's just hypotheticals, right? Quick one I wanted to take off with real fast was the thing. I don't know if y'all saw. Put Battlefield's considering free to play or some aspect of it being free to play. At this juncture, I think it's more of a wishing well.
I don't see why they would make it free to play.
Yeah, I mean,
unless they did a battle royale.
Well,
if they did a battle royale, I could understand it.
Yeah.
But their main game, I just don't see it happening. They put a lot of work into that game.
Yeah,
but that's not to say that they don't put a lot of work into battle royales. But battle royales is kind of the way COD does it. It's kind of a hodgepodge of matches of maps thrown together into one central.
Yeah.
So all that shit already exists in the game.
The only reason I think it has some weight, and I stress this some, not much, some, is EA is the league leader in make you pay for shit.
Oh, definitely.
So when it comes to that, that's the only reason. That's the only way.
I don't see them busting down one of their AAA titles though to make it free to play. Now maybe older versions, I've seen that happening, but the newest of the new hot.
Yeah.
Nah, son.
Yeah, and like I said, it was just something I saw was like,
But if it happens, don't get me wrong. Now, if it happens in this hypothetical world that you have created, where EA gives a shit and thinks it would be profitable for them to put the game out there for free to play, that'd be kind of dope.
Yeah.
Especially with cross-platform play. Mm-hmm. To me, you just growing your player base. And I don't know. To me, shooters, it ain't really that. Well, shit. To be honest with you, the way Battlefield does their guns, I'm pretty sure you're gonna get a lot of people paying for their guns off the top.
No, bro, that's it. And that's like I said, that's the only weight I see is they do something kind of like a battle pass or something of that nature, but a little worse. EA is renowned for that.
Battlefield 4 actually had a battle pass built into it. It was just free.
But at the same time, like you're getting like more cosmetics. If you're promising XYZ guns and other stuff, people and like I said, EA is renowned for doing dumb shit like that. I'm not saying they will. I'm not saying they won't. It's all like I said. Even the article was like EA. It was EA Battlefield free to play ? Right? Like, and I'm like, I don't see that happening, but I can see a world where it does. And while it sounds cool, I know I'm going to be annoyed by something because
definitely. I mean, you're going to get a weird player base. You're going to get a weird shift in rank. You're going to get a weird shift in grouping.
Mm-hmm.
All of that shit.
Yeah. Probably shitty metas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's the little bit I had on that. Nothing, they're slowly trickling stuff out on Battlefield. Nothing that we haven't already heard. They're kind of like doubling down on the things they've already told us and giving us small tidbits, but nothing super newsworthy yet. Another article I had, I don't know if y'all saw, was the 3D Studio shit that we talked about, the other company, the 3D FX or whatever.
Yeah.
Everybody and their dog is writing them the fuck off. Because they have put nothing really out there.
Yeah.
So they're writing that shit off like yesterday's news, and it's not even officially done anything. So there's that.
Damn.
Yeah, I've seen no positive articles about it. Not that the company was trash, just like the comeback, and it's just like, like they haven't even started. How are you going to call it a comeback? Yeah. So there's that little bit. So anybody that was on that hype train might want to take a deep breath. Yeah, so I didn't have much besides just put that little tidbit out there.
A couple of things launching soon. I believe COD Season 5 is about to drop. A new Rocket League season is about to come out. The only thing, I hadn't really seen much on the COD things, but I mean, they don't really change much over there. They change the map every now and then, and they drop a new meta every time they do this shit. So be on the lookout for the new meta coming soon. Game broken. Enjoy. But
yeah, I've downloaded PUBG and I haven't played it yet. Literally downloaded it 3 days ago, so I hadn't had much of a chance to play. But if I play a shooter, it'll either be that or Battlefield 4. I have COD. I enjoy playing the regular, but if I'm going Battle Royale, I kind of want the PUBG experience, or I'd probably download Apex again.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
It looks like they fixed a lot of things since we last played. I don't know. They have a lot more shit. Characters, champions, whatever the fuck you want to call them. But yeah, another one I had, I don't know if y'all saw, the Pokmon GO studio has reverted all their COVID era changes.
Yeah.
I know Android's tinkered with it. I don't know how much you played in the.
I played a good amount. I haven't played across the last year.
Yeah, within the last year, it was nice. You could be a good ways away from gyms, stops. You were getting extra. They took the restrictions off of the battles. So in Pokemon Go, to do like the little battles they have like little leagues or whatever, you'd have to walk X amount before you could battle again, right? Like, so you do like 10 battles and you have to walking distance of XYZ to do more battles. They lifted that because of COVID. You got more candy and stuff that you used to have to get via walking or moving around, blah blah blah. Made it easier to play in a COVID world, right? Where you couldn't just go to your, local fucking corner store that was a Pokestop with 30 other people, right?
Yeah.
And they lifted that a week ago, and put the normal game state back in only US and Canada, I think it said. I know US for sure. And it was met with a just doomsday level of backlash. Like, they were like, I'm seeing forums and shit saying, don't play this fucking game until they put the changes back and blah blah blah. Like, it was, I didn't realize that many people still played, but oh my god, that many people still play. Like, I think the COVID era actually made the game boom because like they were one of the highest grossing mobile games over the past year. Yeah, they've kind of come, they come with the thunder during COVID, and I mean, I get why, right? Like, the game's supposed to be enjoyed this way, right? I get what they were thinking, but I don't get what they were thinking, right? Like, you revert the changes when COVID cases are starting to spike in the U.S. Like, But that's kind of what I wanted to talk about on that real quick, is just, I know, Life, you're not much into it, but I wanted your take, right? We're coming, everybody thinks the vaccine is like, the cure-all, end-all for it, but we're seeing rises in cases and stuff. And as a man that's working remotely, right?
Yeah.
If your job all of a sudden was like, hey, you're back in the office, and in the middle of, cases going up on the rise, like, they just don't make no sense.
I'm vaxxed up, so I don't really give a shit. But I mean,
well,
I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I'm hearing reports that people even with the vaccine are getting. I don't know how true it is, but it's kind of like
people with the vaccine are getting it. The Delta variant is not completely covered, but they say that the symptoms are much milder for people who get it.
So it's one of those like
they basically they say it's like a strong cold at that point.
Okay.
So I mean, I've been remote damn near shit since the beginning of 2020 almost.
Yeah.
Like April, like early April.
He was one
maybe,
of the lucky ones.
March. Like it was weird because I had actually taken off a couple of days and then COVID started.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I was out of office before the rest of everybody else. I would just do the return. But it was one of them things, man. I got friends who've gotten COVID.
Yeah.
I got a friend group who shit almost went to Mexico with them for a bachelor party and all came back with COVID except for one person.
Yeah.
The dirtiest white boy. Nah, he really, man, shit. He'd be, I say that with a joke because I say it to his face and we all joke about it, so please don't take offense. But it's one of those, man. He be out there, he be wilding, like
I feel that
raw dogging, kissing randos, coke boy baby, all of that.
Yeah.
Like he the one who came back with nothing.
He said you live
like
wild.
I said that motherfucker immune system is built like a motherfucking Brinks truck.
Bruh, he's always, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Always like is something.
But yeah, that's kind of how I felt about it. Like, I mean, I thought it was kind of obscene. Everybody kind of like, oh, we got the vaccines here. It's open everything. Like I'm like, bro. For me, I'm like, we just literally got it, and like while things have looked better, that's kind of like you fixing your plumbing and being like, I don't see any leaks, but you did a hodgepodge job of it, and you're not sure it's gonna hold when you put full pressure on it.
I mean, but we all know what that was about. That shit was more about getting the economy back rolling and trending in the right direction than it was.
And yeah, I get that. Yeah, I get that to a degree, but like if it continues getting as bad as it's getting, like we're just back in the same hole.
The shit that's weird to me is how they're treating kids.
Yeah,
like they really treating kids like get out there and be test subjects. We believe maybe possibly your immune system is strong enough to defend you against this, and if it's not, survival of the fittest, youngin. I'm like, wow, I mean, but you know, when you're dealing with the vid, it's kind of wishy-washy.
Yeah, that's the big thing. That's why, like I said, I wanted to kind of talk about that.
Well, especially here in Texas where we're at. So.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to go over it because, like, here it's been the Wild West for a hot second, and
it's super weird that our governor is like
he's thrilled.
He is setting it up to where it's super. It just makes for super awkward situations. He's basically tying the hands of anybody who could control people and say, "Hey, you can't be in my space without the proper masking and all of that." Motherfucker came back and was like, "You know what? No, you can't require anybody to wear them." At what?
Yeah.
Like
the rules. Yeah, that's also ridiculous. It is somebody, in my opinion, it's somebody's right if it's their establishment. You know what I mean? To be like, nah. That falls into the line of your right to refuse service. You know what I mean? In my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, just saying. Like, I don't necessarily think it should be enforced in the first place, you know? Like, I think it should just be advised, you know? But I think, like, all around, people are just unnecessarily, like, over the top about it either direction. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I've never looked at the mask mandate as a safety point for the people coming into the store. I've always looked at the mask mandate as a safety point for people working in the store. There's somebody who's got to return and be there every day. They're going to be around people.
That's true, too.
They got to be in contact with people. I mean, technically, you could almost say you setting yourself up for a lawsuit if it could. And we in America, so shit, anything could be a lawsuit.
This is true. Yeah, they, as of the second, they've required us to start wearing masks at work again. Like, it's no questions asked. You're fired if you don't.
Yeah. Yeah, our job, we were supposed to go back in September. They pushed that to 2022. That's the next year. I almost said 2023.
Yeah, pending everything goes well. I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird world right now, that's for sure. And that's, like I said, that's kind of why I wanted to talk about it. Like, I'm not big on like the political and what's going on worldwide, but
I hate talking politics.
Yeah,
but
it does affect us, you know, even in the game sphere.
Mentally, Trump has set us back, and I don't give a shit about anything else that he did bad. All of that shit. He waged a war on everybody's thoughts.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Because there were people, you could see shit happening directly in front of your face, and he'd be like, "Nah, that shit ain't happened.
That ain't really real."
And you'd be like, "Bruh, it's happening right there on the screen as you say it." Like, yeah, nah. He give you the face, he give you the shrug, he give you some funny ass, smug ass comment, and now the post-Trump era is a lot of people in denial about everything, and I get it, but I don't get it. Like, it's some people, it's some things, like if it's a rock on the ground, you could argue that that's not a rock. It's atoms and everything else, but to the world, that's a rock, bruh. Like, and that's kind of where we at now.
And that's kind of like the sad way the world is right now. Like, I have family members that are like, oh, blah blah, and you know, they're like, oh, COVID is a scare tactic from the government. I'm like, are you high? Like, I know people that have died to this. Like, literally, I deal with a lot of people, right? Like, my job requires me to talk to and go to a lot of people's houses, right? A lot of people I've known since I've worked there for almost 10 years now. I know these people well, right?
Yeah.
I had, like, my job is customer service, you know, for the better part of, 10 years. So, like, I have to develop relationships with these people, right? Because I'm trying to either get them shit. I'm trying to talk to
door to door.
Yeah, I'm in their homes, literally. It's like, I get to know them quite well. And like I said, I can think of 6 people that I know of off the top that have died due to it. Now, granted, most of them were older, right?
Yep.
But at the end of the day, like, my buddy of mine I used to work with got it, and he ended up getting sick, just like sick, right?
Yeah.
And he ended up getting pneumonia. Then a motherfucker turns around 3 weeks later and gets COVID, and now he has double pneumonia because he never fully got over the pneumonia before he got the COVID. This fool still ain't got his voice back from the COVID. Like, he's still got like a y'all probably
fucking believe it.
Whiskey voice.
Yeah, y'all probably
know
like no. He was the cat that I was playing League of Legends there for a minute with my oldest son.
I think so. I think I've met him like once.
Yeah, Android. I think Android played a couple games with him on League, right?
I played a couple games.
Yeah, this fool got the raspiest, like, high-pitched voice now, and like, it's coming back. We're talking about 9 months later.
Damn.
But yeah, COVID's a scare tactic. Now it's the government fucking released COVID on us to scare or some shit. And I'm like, number one, it don't matter who, what, when, why, or where, motherfucker.
My favorite is COVID. They using COVID to microchip us up. I'm like, bro, we all walk around with cell phones, bro. That's connected to the internet.
You got the microchip in your pocket, bro. Yeah.
Bro, we walk around voluntarily. We volunteer our information publicly on Facebook.
Literally.
Twitter,
every time you
Instagram,
agree to a terms of service.
Exactly.
We geotag everything. We talk to Alexa. We have allowed every piece of equipment that's in our house that is for ease of use.
Voice of recognition software.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what I told. What I was telling my coworkers yesterday, right? Is I literally, we joke about this all the time, and I'm like, people are dumb because, like, we're not stupid, right? Like, because we actually read the shit at least once, right?
Yeah.
Because we noticed that shit before these motherfuckers. Like, I've noticed this shit back when it was baby infantile level shit. And it's like, why is it asking me for permissions for all this shit? Right? Like, why?
Shit would ask for permission to your camera, to your photos, to
so you look into it,
messages,
right?
all of it,
and you're like, all right, well, that's whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, duh. You know what I mean? Like, well, because like, especially me in life, right? Like, we grew up in the era where like the conspiracy theory where the government was tapping your fucking phone was like a huge thing, right? We've grown up thinking shit like that for years.
Before old Snowden blew the whistle on the NSA.
Yeah. And like, so for us, it's just like, who doesn't know about our daily lives? Like, that's why we joke about like me and life, talk about like sometimes we can't say some shit because we'll see it next week on a you know, a game that came out or something, have our idea floating out there in the netherworld, and it's like, I wish my FBI agent would turn off the motherfucking mic for 5 seconds to let me have a motherfucking idea. There's a reason we say that. Right? Like, we say it jokingly, but we accept that reality, right? Like, there's nothing we can do about it because we have these luxuries that we want to keep.
Because you agreed to the privacy fucking terms of service and conditions or whatever.
Yeah, it's like, what would he do? And everybody's like, oh, blah, blah, the so-and-so China's got all of our information. You're worried about China, motherfucker? Like, Hing Pong Ching Pa, he might steal a couple $100. Let Fred down the street get my information. You need to worry about people in the U.S. stealing your shit.
It's not like the Chinese public that I worry about. It is the Chinese government.
Oh, they can have it too. They about as useless as a box of photos.
That's why I don't download TikTok. But I mean, if it weren't for the fact that I have family that I need to keep up with, I wouldn't have Facebook, honestly.
There's not a phone made in the US of A. Like, if you use a cell phone.
No, I agree. I totally agree. I would minimalize it as much as I could.
If they wanted to get us, they got us already.
We
exactly.
That's why, like, because I've heard that before, the TikTok thing, and like, well, I don't disagree, right? Like, it's easy access for them. That's one of those.
It's not easy access.
Exactly. That's one of those, like, it's already too late, right? Like, 90% of our stuff either A, comes for them, or
I don't want to participate, though.
I mean,
I just didn't want TikTok, period. I'm a grown-ass man, dog.
I find it entertaining.
Oh, no, you're welcome to. I'm not telling you not to. It's obviously, of course. I'm just saying I don't participate in TikTok for that reason.
No, I understand
just
you
because I don't.
A bitch.
Yeah. No, he knows.
It's perfect.
He knows that I think he a bitch.
Hey, it's perfectly fine. I get in 10-second clips some of the funniest shit I've seen in my life sometimes because these motherfuckers are stupid.
Oh yeah, dude.
Like,
I still watch TikTok, but I don't watch it on
attention span
TikTok.
up?
No, not really. Because I just watch it like the most times I watch it, right, is like it's good for like when I'm playing like League of Legends, right, and I'm like loading into a match because the load times for that game's still retarded, right? Like, I'll pull it up, look at it. Like, I'm not one of these like I stay glued to it motherfuckers. Like, I like my videos still, like on YouTube, where I'm watching like our show, our podcast, or the Highlight Heaven, right, where they do like all the football clips from last season. That's like a 30-minute fucking video. Like, I like a large immersion, right? Like, where it's like, oh man, yeah, I remember that play, right? You know, that type of shit still. TikTok feels a niche of like I'm gonna go drop a quick deuce real quick. I got 5 minutes. I can't watch this 20-minute video.
Quick entertainment.
Yeah, it's like I'm just gonna watch this real quick because for me, like, I don't like. That's what Facebook used to do, and Twitter, right? Both of those used to really facilitate those voids, right? But Facebook has become like just fucking warfare from hell on if you're not this or that, and it's obnoxious. I don't even get my titties on there. Half my car stuff ain't on there. Most of my game stuff don't show up anymore. It's just people bitching about dumb shit. So I'm like, well, fuck. I'll scroll through that to try to like pick up something relevant, you know.
Is it still that way? I guess I don't see it as much anymore.
It's gotten better, but now it's people crying about like it's an avenue for people. Well, COVID and other things. Yeah, COVID and other things. It's just like it's an outlet for people just to like. It's gone back to like, here's a window to my life.
Facebook will selectively show you things that you dislike to try and push drama. Like, that's basically what it says in the terms of service. It doesn't say that exactly, but that's basically what they're telling you. You know what I mean?
And
like,
it's just, it's to the point where
it's
it's
ridiculous.
Like, and then Twitter is kind of the same. Like, Twitter's become like the new voice of the people app, I think.
Twitter warfare. It is, because it's everything is like
fucking hate
real
Twitter.
time. Mm-hmm. Everything is a blurb. It's not like, you know, on Facebook some people put paragraphs.
Stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
It's
oh, they do that on Twitter now. It's fucking. They'll have the opening tweet and it'll be 1 of 5 because they subtweeted. You know, it's like, Jesus fucking Christ. And it's like something. Shit. It's and like I said, it's not that I dislike it, but like most of the time I'm on there, it wasn't for this reason, right? Like, I don't go to Twitter for my thoughtful, you know, moments of the day, right? Like, I go on there to see, you know, some hood rat doing some hood rat shit, or what fucking what's the company that has Borderlands, their shift codes, shit like that, right? That's the main reason I went there. And like, bro, I can't even get news on like I follow, like, you know, Rocket League people, I follow League of Legends people, so I can keep up with, you know, information, right?
Yeah,
because I'm into it. Like, it's basically the equivalent, like an actual sport for me now. Like, I'm invested in players and in what's happening in that realm, right? And instead I get something about somebody I'm not even sure, because like I don't follow a lot of the content creators and a lot of the scenes, right? Like, I follow one or two maybe because I find them kind of amusing, but like, you've got this content creator against this one, and this person's calling this person this, and I'm just like, you know, it's like, it's become the new drama sphere, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, people got to have something to complain about.
That's how it always is, bruh.
Always.
So yeah, it's just,
so here, let's complain about these games.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyways, back on subject and topics. Since we went on,
it looks like I was just reading a little article right now. It looks like Xbox is testing an active night mode.
Yeah,
so it'll go into night mode, basically darkening your screen, just various things that'll make it easier on your eyes so that you can continue the game and not strain your eyes. That's kind of fire.
Yeah, I saw that the other day as well. I didn't think much of it because I'm not gonna have one anytime soon.
Me either, but I just thought it was a cool idea for them.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying.
You know, PC Master Race Ben had that.
Yeah,
been on that.
We can do all that just with a little bit of this and that and this and that. Anyways, I got other than that, which is kind of in a similar vein, but actual, you know, kind of relevance.
Yeah.
I posted that the Blizzard CEO stepped down, and that thing's heating up. The Activision Blizzard lawsuit thing is motherfucking cooking. They are losing sponsorships for their legal, or their what's that fucking game? Overwatch. They're losing sponsorships right and left over it. Their CEO stepped down. Like, where, the reason I mention it, where do we feel that Activision is this going to be like the deal breaker? Is this going to sink the company?
I think they'll probably end up selling it off. I think that's what you're about to see.
It's been one too many for them, bro.
I think they're ripe for a sell-off. Mm-hmm. Somebody's got to swoop in and buy them. And I think right now, everybody's just watching to see how low they'll sink.
Possibly.
Before they start making offers.
Because, I guess there's a second lawsuit that just came out. Like I said, the CEO of Blizzard stepped out. It's supposed to be co-ran by a woman. They're on damage control. Like,
oh yeah,
times 50. While I don't like what has transpired, right? Like, we all agree, you know, if that culture and the things that they say were happening, that there's no place for that shit, right? Yeah. As a player and a person that's played a lot of their shit, that sucks, because one of the few bigger companies that's still producing some alright shit here and there, right? Like, I'm not saying they're perfect, because they're fucking not. It's like shit. We might be losing another juggernaut in the gaming sphere, and it's like not many people are replacing, right? Like, you look at a lot of the old companies we used to have; they've either merged and they're not pushing out as much stuff that they used to. Like what's the motherfuckers that did Halo, right? That studio is they're trickling stuff out here and there, and like I think they have something new on the horizon, right? But
Bungie.
Yeah, Bungie. But for a while, right? Like they were a juggernaut, right? Like I don't even like Halo, but I can't deny that, dude. They brought games into the sphere that people loved, and really they helped bring esports into fruition due to their game, right?
But they got pigeonholed. They got pigeonholed with Halo.
What at the same time, that's what I'm getting at. We have a lot of these companies getting, like they got pigeonholed, and then they ended up, basically selling off, and now they're like doing their own shit. Fuck, what was it? The motherfuckers that used to make Blitz. What was the company that did that?
Acclaim.
Yeah, they've been long gone, right? You see what I'm saying? Like,
long gone.
We've had companies come and go, and nobody really talks about it. And for one of our, because this isn't like EA dying, but it's a company that's been in contention with EA for a long time, right? Like this is a major gaming studio that is we're watching burn, right? Like it's
no. What's happened is as games have progressed and it's cost more to make games, having a failure on a major AAA was crippling people.
Yeah. And that I don't disagree with.
I think like Acclaim fell during like when we were kind of in that recession era.
Yeah, a lot of them did too. That was one of the main ones. But that's what I'm getting at though. Like those are things that you can kind of say though, like with the marketplace at the time being so saturated, like it was a matter of time, right? Like you couldn't have a failure. Now companies have failures, and like I'm not saying that they're doing great, right? But they look at EA, right? Like they've put out quite a few flops, pretty hard flops. They're still kicking strong, right? So it's to the point where like you have enough just like publishers slash studios that can survive. Maybe not the studio, like they'll get bought out or resold or whatever, but like a lot of the teams, like you have what Respawn, that was most of Infinity Ward. They're still kind of around. It's just kind of. Bungie's still around. They're like I said, they're coming back. But like Activision slash Blizzard, that's a big one if it falls, right?
Yeah.
That's
probably like one of the major four.
Yeah, you're talking about StarCraft, Warcraft. This is that company. Overwatch, it's got Call of Duty on its umbrella now, right? And a bunch of other smaller things, along the way. It's like shit. That's a big tier company. Somebody wants it or pieces of it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna fail, but it's like it makes you wonder about the other companies, right? Like you were talking about.
Guarantee if these companies are smart, they should be tightening up their culture right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
If there's any bad shit that's out there in your company, you better start addressing it now to HR and start doing preemptive trainings, because it's a shit show, and that's not the way you want this shit to unfold.
Yeah, because if this continues to fall, this should be an eye opener. It's like we talked about, like how we thought, like EA thinks they're too big to fail. This is something that there is no ifs, ands, or buts, right? Like you might survive it, but you took a loss. You're taking an L, right? Yeah. This is an L. Yeah. If
like
Activision,
going into a fight and losing a leg.
Yeah, this is Activision actively losing something. Like they're losing a leg, something. If they stay afloat and this doesn't cripple them, they're going to be hurting for a while because people are going to be losing their jobs. Like somebody's losing a job somewhere. And right, like I don't know the people that work, like maybe one of the major dickheads is like one of their best like minds, right? That tends to be how that works a lot of the times, right? If they lose him, then I think who we were talking about, me and Andrew were talking about it, or somebody. The dude that does all the Mario shit and all that shit, right? Like when he dies, what the fuck is Nintendo gonna do, right? Like who do you got? Who's up? Because Nintendo's been doing the same shit for a while, right? Like,
yeah, I don't even include Nintendo in any of my really like deep game thoughts.
Yeah, but that's what I'm getting at, because like we were talking about, like once the main dude dies, like what do you got? Who's next? Because y'all have been beating that horse for a while, and once he goes, y'all are gonna like, you're gonna piss somebody off because it's not him, having a major share in it, right? Like I don't imagine he comes up with all the stuff, but I'm pretty sure they go to him and is like, hey, is this pretty good? They're like that.
I guarantee you he's the guiding factor.
Yeah, and once he's gone, shit's gonna change pretty drastically because
Miyamoto.
Mm-hmm.
That's his name.
Isn't he like 60, 70 years old, right? Like,
yeah.
He's something. He's getting up there.
Yeah.
He's getting up there. Yeah, fucking that's a very interesting point too, because let's just bring that up again, because the same thing fucking happened to Pokemon the second Satoru Iwata died. He was the CEO of Nintendo for a hot minute, and then he died, and he would always kind of advise the Pokemon mainline series project, right?
Yeah.
And the second he died, Pokemon became fucking gimmicky and all about like what new feature we can add to the game to draw people in, rather than having any value in story or really even gameplay. Like, since fucking Pokemon Black and White, the shit has been dumbed down, and every single entry has been about fucking improvement in graphics or what gimmick they have, or both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's fucking sickening. I hate it. I fucking love Pokemon, dude. It makes me sick. I hate it.
I feel that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know how this is going to shake out, because, we don't know who the perpetrators are, what, who, what, maybe it was more than one, right? Like if a good chunk of your team was in on this, like, right?
Yeah.
Like, whether or not they're pieces of shit or not, like, they're the reason why we have some of the better games, right? And if they're no longer there, like, who's taking their spots, right? Like, because in a lot of these cases, they've made these worlds, right? And like, well, I had, like, let's say I make a game or something, right? And then something happens to me, and it's like, oh, Life Takeover, you knew him real well. Yeah, you know me real well, but you don't know like the chaos that is my mind and how I came up with the dumb shit and why, right?
Right. I don't know the ins and outs of why you were doing what you were doing.
Yeah.
Maybe you were targeting a demographic. Maybe we hadn't advanced far enough along in our tech, and we didn't want to outsource. Maybe, it could be a ton of shit.
Yeah. Like I said, so for me, it's really like, I again, I'm not saying that things shouldn't be happening, that this shouldn't be handled.
Right. Yeah, that is an interesting point that you should bring it up too, because like you said, it's not that you're trying to excuse these people or like say that we should turn a blind eye to it and just allow them to do whatever they want just because they produce this content that we view as favorable. But, like, do we just retire the project now that we have to pull this person, out of the equation, or do bastardize it?
Yeah, because if you think like, right, like, let's say like people on the Overwatch team, right? They're the ones that were, their heads are gonna roll, right?
Yeah.
This game is making a ton of money. A lot of people love playing it, and it's an esport. What happens to the game, right? Like, if the masterminds behind it are all gone, like, it's one of those now what's, like, does it continue on? Is it sinking? What's going on here? And that's kind of like the $1 million question, from a consumer standpoint, right? Like,
I guess. I think honestly, in that like case, you should like, and this might be like kind of a controversial opinion, right? So maybe a bit of a hot take, but I think you should allow the person, like, if you're pulling them out of the equation and it's not just like this person died, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're pulling them out of the equation forcefully, then maybe you should give them the decision, at least the courtesy to decide what happens to their intellectual properties, you know what I mean? Because at least, like, they've done nothing to, I guess, deserve that respect. But, I mean, would you rather just kind of destroy what they created? I don't know.
That's one of those, like, I can answer that, but it's not gonna be well received. Yeah, the people that are doing the lawsuits and stuff, they either want that pony for themselves, or they want that person gone and their existence expunged from reality for the most part. Because that's kind of the way most people deal with stuff. Is you just that example A no longer exists, right? Like that was a blight on our existence. And you know, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. That's just the way it is, right? Like it is what it is. That's why I said I'm kind of curious about how that's going to work out, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those. Again, like this, it's good that it's getting taken care of. Like I said, as a consumer, my thing is like, bro, like what's going to happen? Like I said, depending on how many, whose heads are being chopped off, right? Like how much is this going to hurt one of the companies that produces some of the better games, right? Even if I don't like them, right? Like anything that generates revenue for the gaming sphere via just the game is badass, esports, it's making our argument as gamers more valid, right? Because you can't be like, people can't just, oh, it's just a game, it don't matter about nothing, blah 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 blah. It's like, you see this shit makes money, bro, right? Like it's not, you know, like it's become a legitimate thing, right, at that point, right? So whenever it starts taking a hit, it's like, oh shit, like if we lose a juggernaut, that hurts. Um, so I'm curious to like what their plan of action is, because right now it's just damage control, right? So now I'm interested to see in what happens after damage control. Like, can they um find the people that they need if they need to, right? Like, are people going to want to work there after this? You know, it's a lot of those things. Because if it's as bad as they say it is, and like it's the quote unquote frat boy culture, like people will just walk out because, you know, Dave got canned because of this shit, right? Like you're gonna lose quite a few people regardless, whether you know what I mean, like whether that person's right for jumping shit because, you know, maybe Dave really was a fucking tool sack, right? That's still his butt, you know what I mean? Like, um, it's one of those things. So you could be losing a ton of people. And like I said, yeah, I'm not saying either side is right or wrong. I'm just saying, like, for me, it's interesting looking from the outside in and looking at how it's developing the landscape of what we deal with a lot, right? Like, not like we're gamers, right? This is shaking the landscape of gaming. And I'm interested to see what happens. More on the uh how much it's going to affect said companies, because there's, you know, we've already went over the some of the habits of some of these companies and what they like to do. From, you know, the crunch times, there's big, you know, been a big deal about that. um so it's like, how much is it changing, how the cultures are changing, who's getting lopped off, and why it's, you know, harmful for said companies sometimes. Like, if you know, even if they're fucking douchebags, like if you lose one of your better people, at the end of the day, that was one of your better people. Do you just like, is, and then in that case, is like, is that one of those times like, um, was everybody's transgression to the point where they're all, you know, shit canned? You know what I mean?
No, sometimes you just get an amount. There's a group, a swell. There's a history. There's a pattern. You know, some people, man, when you so good at some shit, man, you take shit for granted, and people praise you.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, you know, you get all this praise, and you get big headed about shit.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
You feel like, especially when they let you get away with shit, or they don't reprimand you the way that they should for shit, that lenience turns into something, and shit, you feel entitled.
Yeah.
And motherfuckers overstep their line and continue to do it until you got to get rid of that motherfucker. And sometimes that motherfucker's so good that he pull 2-3 people with him because they believe in whatever he gonna jump into next could be something big, but they don't think about the nastiness of that person and what they've done.
Yeah.
They see talent. They see a rising star sometimes, and they just want to attach.
Yeah, I feel that. That's one of those things. It's like I said, it's a real weird, way. Like I said, it's a weird way for look at it, and I know certain people will be upset that I look at it that way. Like I said, I don't disagree with what's happening, but for me, like for a curious mind, right? It's always like what happens because of why. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like to me personally, it's like this person did a bad thing, but they're still an individual. You know what I mean? Like they still deserve some semblance of respect as a human being. You know what I mean? Even though they may have done something that's vile or even inexcusable or whatever, Like, and that might be a hot take to some people, but I think just ethically, there are some things that, like, and again, bringing back to the.
Come back from. I'm gonna
Yeah,
treat you like less than a piece of shit for some shit.
I mean,
that's just me.
fair enough. No, fair enough. Me too. And I could say that, but it's harder in like a situation if it affects me directly, of course. Like especially like, but I don't know. Just depends, I guess.
Yeah, and that's
maybe a hot take.
That's one of those things. Like I said, I I haven't really like it's like I said, they haven't really said much. Because when you say frat boy culture, like I don't like overlying terms like that because that makes it hard to single out things, right?
But if you have to generalize something, you understand what frat boy culture is. The stigmas of frat boy culture.
Yeah, I
don't
get
mean
that.
frat boy culture in a nice way.
Yeah, no, like, I get that. I get that. But like I said, it's like, let's say Terrence partook in some of quote unquote frat boy culture, but Terrence is a punk bitch, right? You know what I'm talking about. Terrence doesn't have a spine to save his life. He's just trying to make it.
Damn, true.
Right? Like one of those guys that just he kind of goes with the flow.
Yeah,
I know a tag along.
Yeah.
But you still you're an adult still, and you're still making conscious decisions to be within that group.
Granted.
And be a part of the fuckery.
Like I said, and again, like I said, I'm not saying like what he's doing is right by any means of the imagination. He should be a grown ass man and handle up to it. But there's a lot of people that don't. Does his head get taken with the rest of them? That's what I'm getting at. Like that's one of those areas where I'm like, I'm not comfortable saying yes, and I'm not comfortable saying no. I'm sitting there looking at it like, what the fuck?
Me too. Like that's what I'm saying.
What level did he participate?
That's the main thing. Like it's like because that's why I say I can't say yes and I can't say no because I know a bunch of punk ass motherfuckers that'll play that. Are we saying
he was just there to witness it, and so he should be reprimanded for not bringing it up?
Yeah,
no, I don't think that's the case. But if he participated in it,
well, then, like I said, that depends. Like because like I said, a dude like that ain't got no spine, but he's buddies with like one of the douchebags, right? And like he don't
tag along.
Yeah, he don't ever say nothing too crooked, but he'll chime in. He'll try to get his little jab, and you look at him and be like, "Why are you even speaking, dumbass?"
Right? No, yeah, I got somebody specifically in mind right now.
Wow. So like, it's one of those things. Like, I get it, but at the same time, it's like this is why I'm not one of those people.
But see, to me, those people typically don't catch the full force. They don't get the weight of the world brought down upon them. I've seen it plenty of times in corporate structure. But those people usually get the slap on the wrist.
Yeah. But that's what I'm getting. Like something in this magnitude, like I said, we don't really know how much and how bad it really was. Because it doesn't say like X department or X people or what, you know what I mean? It was just like
it sounds like it was it was commonplace in the workforce.
Yeah. So like if it's relatively commonplace, like there's got to be quite a few people that take quite a few bullets here for this, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I'm the guy that's like, we'll try to get the ones that really matter, right? But at the same time, it's like, where do you start drawing the line?
Sometimes you got to clean house, bro.
Yeah, I mean, and then
sometimes you breed a culture that can't be easily fixed.
Yeah. And that's what I'm kind of worried about, because like I said, if you do that, then that's oof, you know what I mean? Like I get I get where you're coming from, but like for a gaming studio, something, because that's the thing with creative properties, right? When you get rid of most of the people, the creative minds, the people that like, right? Like, like it's one thing killing off your animation team. It's one thing taking out some of the what do they call, like senior game developers? Like they don't technically work on it; they just oversee shit, right?
Yeah, but it's another to take out the person who has the intellectual property.
Yeah, it's one thing to take out people that either like, it's like like we've seen like with like Battlefield, right? There's quite a few people that work on different aspects, but you have the people that like are the minds behind the things that make the motherfucking, shit happen, right? Like while we're having Battlefield Portal, like you start getting rid of people like that, you're affecting what you have in the space and what they're doing. Like I said, I'm not.
If those are the nasty people, then they need to be removed.
Again, I'm not saying that they shouldn't.
Well, again, that's what we're. Yeah, like don't turn a blind eye to it. It's just that what happened to these. Well, I agree, but obviously that needs to be handled. But what do we do about the properties?
Yeah, because
after is out of the picture, do we retire the property or do we bastardize it? Right, like.
That's a business decision where you look at the money put in and the money it would take to continue. Are you too far along
would it be profitable to continue? You know what I mean? I mean, obviously you're going to take a hit in profit if like it's one of your larger intellectual properties, right? But like, well,
let me put it to you like this: if it's marketed properly to people, if you start marketing it now as this is the game that was developed in lieu of him being kicked out, and this was carried on because of these proud developers. If you start to focus it, if you take a PR group and start to focus it and give it a rallying point, and you can finish it in a reasonable time, you can make it a win, and people would rally behind it because of.
Well, I 100% agree. Do you reboot the property and try to make it new and in a different, like inspired by the original, or do you try to continue to carry out the original developer's vision? You know what I mean? In a way that isn't necessarily, because it's like, for example, this isn't exactly the same thing, but an example is like the J.R.R. Tolkien books, you know what I mean? The Lord of the Rings and shit. After he died, they kind of finished out the Silmarillion, but they never really wrote anything else because how can you, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like he had plenty of notes for what he was working on, but you can't really finish what this person started.
I would imagine it being more like a movie, and you had to bring in a new director. So with this new director, you get new vision, right? And so I would think you would bring in somebody who would take what was already laid out in front of them, reimagine it, and then move forward, so that it could be something that.
Yeah, but like that isn't that just the Justice League? And look at how that turned out. That's kind of like the point, though, right? Like, do you just restart it and make something totally new and start over from the beginning, with like taking some inspiration, or do you try the person had in the first place and see it through to the end and take the risk of ruining it? You know what I mean?
Again, that all depends on where you're at in a project.
Exactly. I agree. I totally agree. I think it is individually kind of specific.
Yeah. And that's one of those things, like like I said, I'm not saying that again. None of this shit should happen. It's just like what's going to become of the company, depending on like, what happens. Because if it is a full clean house, like I can tell you right now, a couple of those games are sunk because they're not in a great space, but they're not in a bad space, right? And they're just sunk.
Anything that's not more than 50% complete, I would say would be out of there.
Yeah, and that's like it's one of those things. It's like
some things you would have to look at it, and you would have to take it and say, in this market, could we sell this?
Yeah.
And how would it sell?
Fair enough.
And that's, to me, I think you gotta do a little bit of research. If you believed in it to begin with and you think it will work, but now that the visionary is no longer associated to the project, you have to think of it in a business sense. Can we bring in somebody to carry on this vision? Could we bring in somebody to take this information and reimagine it? Can we put it out there so somebody can reimagine it and bring us something?
Yeah, fair enough.
Those type of things. It's a conversation that a game dev will just have to have.
True.
I mean, I don't think it's. Don't get me wrong. It's a setback, depending on what the company is and depending on how many IPs are affected.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't see a situation where it could be a slap on the wrist when it's to this magnitude.
Yeah,
you got people doing.
Oh no, for sure. Definitely doesn't turn a blind eye to it. I definitely think the person should be taken out. You know what I mean, of the situation. Like, I don't at all think that the person could be not reprimanded for his behavior, but you know, what happens to the project, you know, after that.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's real weird. But before we dive too deep into that, because we do have another topic I was kind of excited to talk about. So we'll leave that for. I'm pretty sure we'll know some more information come next week on what's happening.
Yeah.
We'll see kind of where it goes, what people, you know, because like I said, it's more of we're waiting for the fallout. Like everything that should be happening is happening so far. So I guess we'll see more. But you did pose a question to us last week. We want to dive into that rabbit hole because that's a rabbit hole.
Let's do it.
All right. The question you posed was if we could make a game, right?
Yep. If you could develop any game that you wanted to develop, however it played out, whatever it did, in 8K, motherfucker.
So we can use not having technology at the
VR,
moment.
Okay. Yeah.
So my answer's simple.
Oh fuck.
And don't just go straight to. I want to be able to be in contact with I want to walk through the game. You're not moving.
Yeah, I want to do something full by VR. You can't have something we can throw in like technology that hasn't been developed yet.
I gotta dial it back a little bit because once I said it, I was like, wait, no, he's gonna immediately go right to the movie.
We're going.
What's the movie?
Ready Player One or Sword Art Online. Either one. Either way.
Hold on. That's not Ready Player One.
Just as you started this, when you said it, I was like, oh wait, no, I know what he's going. He's either gonna be Avatar or he's gonna be Ready Player One. Like he's gonna be one of those two.
Yeah. No, I mean something of that vein though. Yes. If I'm being honest, I'll just put the restrictions on stuff that we can do right now, right? Because it makes it a little easier for me.
Play in the sandbox of like VR
I would take
to VR.
I would want to take what we have, at least VR wise, and it like I said, we'll play with a little fantasy in there, but let's say it's not as clunky. It's more like they've figured out the motion tracking, right? So everything could work. Blah blah blah. I still would want something in vein of like I like what they did in Sword Art. I like the concept of it, right? It lets you dream big, right?
Like the actual game itself.
Yeah, the actual game itself. So for for you, Life, you don't know much about it, so I'll try to explain a little bit.
Yeah, please.
On Sword Art, it was you full dive, you're in the game, blah blah blah. But it was a combat based game. where you had skills, right? It had what did it say, like hundreds of skills or something. So like you had two weapon fighting, you had one handed fighting, sword fighting, arrows, like more fantasy but no magic.
No.
But basically the premise is
you get weapon skills to kind of fucking replace that. Like you get weapon abilities.
Yeah.
Not to harp on it too much, just to explain.
Yeah. But that concept, and like it was basically a dungeon crawler. You'd have to go through the levels, find the boss room, beat it to get to the next level. Like I said, I like that concept because that harkens to the MMO player. Yeah, I love the MMO aspect of it. So when you asked me that originally, I basically had a D&D motherfucking sword art baby in my head and almost died. So nothing will ever replace.
Nothing. Interestingly enough, that's my same kind of concept, except like I didn't necessarily think about it being VR. Like that would be cool, but I would just would make a develop on my own, right, as one person, just a little mobile phone MMORPG that's like an isometric pixel thing, you know what I mean? That is very similar, not quite dungeon crawlery, it's going to be like one world, like kind of dungeon crawlery, I guess, but not like floors. You know what I mean? Just an open world for everybody to explore.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I was going with it. It was going to be a lot of like I said, the reason I think of sword art is I like the immersion of it, and then I like the idea behind it, right? Like I said, nothing will replace D&D for me. It's hard for me to play RPGs or even MMORPGs, right? And not want that experience. I want to do everything. I don't care if it's taxing to go fucking cut up a tree, right? I want that ability. I want to be able to make what I want to make.
Fucking do it.
Yeah. Once you've done it and you have some custom shit that nobody else has because they haven't grinded their ass off like you, it feels good. Fuck you. Grind, stupid bastard. Stop paying for shit. Sense of accomplishment. Try it once. So, but I love, like I said, I love D&D in the way that there's a little bit of everything that you can do, right? So it'd be kind of like if you took those, like, so those are like the inspirations, right? To put it in a game sense, you're looking at something that as like I would say closer to, I'm trying to think of something, it'd be like if you took Elder Scrolls, made it more grand and took a lot of the handcuffs off and put it VR. Made it to where you could have places you could buy. Granted, like I said, we're pushing the envelopes of what can be done, but that's part of it. 'Cause you'd have to have a large world, right?
Yeah.
But like I said, what made a lot of the MMOs of past fun was you would have like the guild houses, like actual guild houses where people kept all their shit, made shit for the guild.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah.
You got a real sense of companionship, right? Like you're a new player, you show up and like, fucking Dave 6969 fucking made you some armor because you can't afford any, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then you go help Dave.
Right.
You go help Dave grind out some levels so he can get better and help him mine some ore or whatever, so you can do whatever the fuck it is you want to do for the group,
On some very cool shit.
Yeah, like it wasn't. I love a lot of the combat aspect of things, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes, like me, Android's brothers, we played an old one called Ultima Online, right? So it'd be like me, Pog, Crazy, yeah, a couple other people. We'd just be sitting in the guild hall for fucking hours, just shooting this shit, bullshit, and talking about what we wanted to do, what we had to do to get set items, and just chit chatting and chilling. Right, that was some of the most. It's like having a conversation with your boys before y'all go do something. Like you're just kicking it just before you go do some shit, and it's entertaining as fuck, right? We're talking mad shit. I can't remember what happened. I think we were walking through town arguing about where we were going next, and Hydro fucking was mad at one of the other people that we had because they wanted to go do this, and he started cussing at them. And we're on like a family friendly server, so one of the fucking GMs comes down and warns him, and he tells him to fuck off. So they throw him in jail. So we go back to the guild house and laugh about that for like 3 hours because he's fucking retarded. So he's instant messages just bitching because he's having to mine rocks because he's in jail. Right? Yeah. It's fucking, just stupid dumb shit like that. A lot of times people, they're like, oh, I don't like that. But it's like having certain freedoms, right? Like a lot of the MMOs make you live on a linear path, right? Like regardless, you can go do this. It's all about grinding for some said this or that other. Like when you have the freedoms to go build your own shit, it adds a level to the game. Yeah, you have to grind for it, but it adds levels. Like I'm playing Elder Scrolls to grind for gear so I can go into PvP arenas. What's different? Right? What's different? Tell me what's different.
Yeah.
Like just to
we
make
to work on the mobile MMO together and like in a fucking settlement, like making build settlements and shit. That would be fucking amazing.
Yeah, so something like that. That's why I said it's like it's a little bit of like the SAO, like kind of just like the vibe of it, right? Like where both games require you.
Motherfuckers in that like live totally normal lives and shit.
Yeah,
like they choose not to fight because they're afraid to.
Yeah,
and like the people who fight don't shame them for it for the most part. Like,
yeah, and if you have a game that has like a large skill based system, right, like where you can do fishing or oh, what's that shit when you're doing cloth stuff, right, or woodworking, right? A lot of people, I shit you not, bro, and it sounds retarded as hell. They will go on there and just do that. They won't ever fight. They won't ever do nothing. They literally go set up shops and sell to the players. And people are like, oh, that's dumb. Some people just enjoy the interactions.
Nah, that's kind of where my game goes. But I'm gonna let you finish yours. I want to continue hearing how yours.
But it's a lot of that. Like I think it would be a pretty good hodgepodge of Sword Art and D&D when it comes to like how I think of skills, how I think of how things can be integrated. There we go. Word's hard. So SAO, like, it doesn't have magic, but I like magic, so I want to keep that. I always love that stuff. I want to have a class system that's similar to like how D&D does stuff, though, where you can cross class. So of course, there's going to be, you're going to have what we like to call, there'd be like a mid-maxing issue. So like with D&D, what you do a lot of times is what is called cross-classing. When you mid-max a character, you're sometimes OP for a while more than others. So certain classes take hits early on, and then like they're overpowered as they get stronger, right? A lot of ways to mitigate like your early game weaknesses is cross-classing, but you mid-max and then you're kind of at your peak performance for a while, right? Because it takes you longer to get to the best of what your classes can offer now because you're two separate classes, right?
Yeah.
So there's negatives to it, right? Like the balancing aspect I'm always worried about. Like when you present something like this, like I'm always trying to think like, what would I do about this, blah blah. So and there'd be like the cross-classing, there'd be issues keeping that, whatever, blah blah. But it would just be like a massive MMO that we're like, there's the overlying quote unquote story, like what you're doing. I'd have like PvP arenas and shit because people love that shit. I enjoy it, right? But if you feel like living and dying on PvE and like you love some of the dungeon raids, because like in Ultima, that was one of our things, like the DMs would set up dungeon raids, right? And they were they were fucking obscene, right? Like it's just, why would you do this to us? But they'd have some of the best fucking rewards, right? But you're grinding your fucking ass off for this, right? But it was fucking fun when you completed and like you're picking up like fucking huge bags of loot and shit, right? Stuff like that. I want something that crosses a little bit of each, and it just doesn't handcuff you like all these other games. Like a lot of developers are so worried about overloading their players with shit. And I'm like, no. if there's one game that I've seen that has taken me and let me dream about somebody having the balls to do it, it's EVE Online, right?
Yeah.
This game has survived when nobody really talks about it. It has its own economy, right? Like the company's been hands off for a long time. Like they've done some fucking kind of foul shit recently, but they've been relatively hands off, letting the players dictate what happens in this world, right? And they've had massive battles that have made it on actual news, right? They're like hundreds of thousands of dollars were lost in battles of real world money, right? Like this game has become its own monster. And they're like, oh, well, that's so niche or whatever. It's like, well, yeah, it's niche because it's a space thing and you have to dump a lot of time and money into it, right? Facts. But it shows if it's appealing enough, people will come.
Definitely.
So that's why I was like, if I don't want a lot of restrictions on this because that's how EVE is. There's not much. It's just play more, play a lot more. Like that's what I want my game to encompass. It's like it's a huge MMO to where you can PvE if you want, you can PvP if you want. You'll have skills, magic. It'd be like fantasy, similar like Elder Scrolls or something of that nature, the fantasy world, but just a massive MMO that let you do what you felt like doing. Like there wouldn't be, oh, we don't have that because people don't like it. No, we have that because somebody likes it. Like you want to be a cobbler, motherfucker, go be a cobbler. Who cares? Tell me some shit, right?
You can kind of go in the same direction as me. That's funny.
Well, because it like I said, I take a lot of inspirations from things because like if you look at EVE, if you add the currency in game and tie it to real world money, and it's not like, I mean, technically you can pay to win an EVE, but yeah, you gonna go broke. Like, you gonna go broke. If you dictate the economy that way, let the players dictate the economy, the game will do crazy shit. It will do some wild shit. And like I love to romanticize about that, letting people just like make up their own economy. So if you want to be a cobbler, like, it is what it is. If you want to have a barter system, like you don't want to battle all the time, but every once in a while you want to raid, it's like, well, shit, all I've done is sell fucking shoes for fucking, or boots or whatever to people. It's like, well, I mean, you could make a trade with somebody if they think it's fair. They have trading, like I said, EVE has trading markets that do the similar thing, right? Like that concept of where a person can play the game how the fuck they want is alluring, And I've seen it happen, just not on that grand scale recently. Like I think the closest game is like Black Desert Online when it comes to just letting you do a lot of dumb shit, but it still has like a lot of restrictions, and it's it's not quite there. So that's kind of where I'm at. Just like a VR game that does it. It's like I like the immersion too. Like if you've been able to see some really badass shit in VR, it'd be cool to see some of the shit people, design came up with.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So mine is more like in the style of GTA roleplay, but leave it open source. Give you just open world where you give a layout of a world. And one idea would be, as the developer, we develop the first 5 worlds, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we open up 6 worlds to be purchased and developed however they want to develop them. But it's sim style, so you have to develop your property. Like you have to develop the land.
Mm-hmm.
As if nothing existed. You set it up with irrigation. You set it up how the world would exist. But since it's open source, you would have community develop, and you could sell plots of land.
That's a good fucking idea, actually. That's kind of like almost what they do in Ready Player One, or even the idea of the World Seed in Sword Art Online.
I was about to say that, the World Seed, yeah.
And just kind of go out from there. And, I mean, have built-in systems already within it, physics, different things like that. Give some indication of missions and things to do in the world.
Yeah, some
but
structure.
not much. As it starts to fill in, things will occur that will have you filled with things and activities to do daily.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Man, from a gamer standpoint, one of those rules would have to definitely be a fight club. But in my fight club, it's Matrix style where but it's different, right? So what we would do from the developer standpoint is we would load all of the fighting styles the world have to offer, right? But your character can only hold up to 3 fighting styles, and they would cost money. And with those disciplines that your character has, they would be time release. So basically, the longer you had those disciplines and know those disciplines, the more knowledge you would go, and the more fights you would get into. All those type of things would factor into the Fight Club world, and just different things like that. But like, I think that shit would be fire, bro.
Definitely interesting.
And that actually does sound like a really good idea.
And because it's open source and developed by the people, it's something that can infinitely be changed out. It's something that would be infinitely updated because people have new ideas all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can sell your fucking plot of land.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
Interesting.
The only thing I would do is I would want to put caps on it. I wouldn't want it to get out too ridiculous on reselling. I mean, but at some point we may even uncap it, and it just depends on where it goes. But I wouldn't want. I just hate. I hate seeing people go broke gaming. That's never the intention of it.
Yeah, no. But it's one of those things. Yeah.
But if you can build in a world where you could technically get real world money to outflow and inflow back into the game where it becomes profitable.
Well, I mean,
for somebody to own a property,
technically
to
you already do
own the shop.
Because like there's people that watch people do the dumbest shit on Twitch. You and I both know this. And we all know.
But I mean directly from the game outflow.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Like at some point, I'm sure we could figure something. It's like that. Like I said, that's kind of how Eve works, right? Like, a lot of people dumped a lot of money into it. How to get money transversely away from it. That you're talking about like crypto type shit.
Yeah, almost. Yep.
But I could see it. I mean, fuck.
Like
you could own a store in game and generate revenue. Like,
yeah.
Like you could own a clothing store where you develop your own clothing line. You develop how you want it to be. I mean, within certain parameters.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that shit would be fire.
I'm pretty sure at some point that becomes like a legal nightmare. I have child slaves working in my goddamn clothing shop.
Hey, buddy. that's on you.
Bruv, I'm telling you. Anyways. No, that's it. I like it though. Definitely interesting.
Yeah. I mean, and I think I don't know, because to me, like if you've ever watched any GTA role playing, they do a pretty good job of carrying out storylines and different actions and different things. I think if you built something actually geared towards it, people would gravitate to it. Even people who aren't necessarily into that thing. You give them, you drop missions in that run for X amount of days, make it unrepetitive, give it parts, almost like doing a heist, but time release those heists to occur throughout an amount of time. Put a grading system on it, just different little things that they could make that makes them improve and want to continue to do it.
Yeah.
So, because that was one of the things like that GTA failed at to me. It was like, man, when you get into the missions, well, if I could do a $15,000 mission 82 times, and I get it down to the point where it only takes me 4 minutes, I'm gonna go for that 15 grand over that 3 grand every goddamn 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's part of it. People learn real quick how to get the most out of their time. I mean, that's kind of nature. But yeah.
But I think you gotta give characters like skill points like for doing shit. But you gotta start them off as goofy and as bad as they could possibly be.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's kind of like how, um your traditional, like the MMOs that have kind of died off, right? That's how they were.
Mm-hmm.
You were ass balls at everything. And like
yeah.
You would, like, Ultima, you would go chop some wood. Bro, you would be lucky if you got something useful for the first 20 minutes of your day.
Man, like story wise and like game physics wise, like Oregon Trail meets goddamn Sim City meets GTA meets so much other shit, but neatly packaged. Like I want like elements to really be in the game, and I hate that they be random, but like if there's airborne sickness, your player could get sick. Not to the level of COVID. I don't want to shut the goddamn city down.
Yeah, but like,
you have crisis level shit in my game.
Oh no, there will be zombie horde, and the purge. the map has to have the purge.
Having RNG stuff, a lot of people frown on, but it does add to a certain level, right? Having anything that can be RNG makes it where the players can't predict everything that fucking happens, which is also a good thing. A lot of players don't like it, but if you can't plan for everything, that means sometimes you can't beat my game just because you fucking played 600 fucking hours. And you can be mad at me for that, but like that's part of it. You don't beat life by just living. You got to do some shit.
That's why I think a quarterly purge in my game would be amazing.
That sounds amusing as fuck. I would fucking hate you for every day that you live, but it's funny. And like, there's
I would just leave it up to like the people. Like I said, since I have settlement, like I think I would leave it up to them to dictate how they're gonna handle their squabble. You know what I mean? If you want to purge in your land, go for it, dog.
I want the purge. The purge is a mandatory factor.
Yeah. That's kind of like that kind of is like how games like Rust or Tarkov have wipes, right? They just they basically take all your shit. It helps reset things without.
No, I don't mean I mean like the movie The Purge.
No, that's what I'm getting at. But that'll help reset the world to a certain degree, right?
Yep, and that's what that's about.
Yeah, it's more of an active reset instead of like it just happens, right?
Yeah.
Like
where characters you can go through, you destroy property, you destroy whatever, and it requires a new load basically from the person, or it could require, or it could be a play to get somebody off their space.
Yeah.
Make every space come up quarterly to be refreshed. Add that into the cost of what it would cost to the cost of owning that property piece. Add the damaging.
Well, I'd be tearing up shit, just tear up shit.
Exactly. But who wins? The dev, the developer, the person who gets to resell the plot.
Fair enough.
But I think that would be dope. And I mean, it would reset some shit for characters. You would build in a system where if you do actually die in the game, there is a path to getting some of your shit back. Some of. Ain't nothing worse than dying and being out in the world butt ass naked with nothing.
Bro.
Starting over. That's the most devastating, crushing blow.
It'd be annoying as fuck. I like that because it means that there's something on the line. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, when I say I like that, like it adds a certain element to the game. It pisses me off when it happens, but it makes you appreciate shit, right? Like, you're not out there like. It's the difference between playing COD and like regular COD and Warzone, right? Like you'll willy nilly in regular COD because you just keep coming back, or S&D, right? Now when you out there Warzone, you like you if you're smart, you pick your shots, right? Like you're trying to win. So
and then the one thing I would do to deter crime, and this is the reason I say deter crime, because in my experience, everybody sees crime as the easiest path in all these type of situations.
Usually.
So in game, you have a drone system, an active drone monitoring system that would dispatch enforcement. So you can only do so much crime before we're gonna be hot on your ass. Have a pre-crime unit on their ass.
Where you got the drone swooping in, shooting you, ain't shit you can do about it.
I mean, no, you can fight. There's a way to fight back. I hate the path of we on your ass. We just gonna beat the shit out of you. There is some fight, not much.
Fair enough.
Cause when you get to like 5 stars, bruh, they on your ass. I don't ever want it to be 5 stars, but I want it to be like high crime areas, so we monitoring those areas heavily.
Yeah.
So that type of shit, like active monitoring, increased in these type of situations. Just shit like that.
Fair enough.
And shit.
I don't like him fucking Need for Speed Heat.
Yeah. There is paths of getting away from those police.
It's just not always the easiest.
Yeah. I don't want to set it up to where like the drones is just swooping in on you with guns and he might as well just give it up, champ. Like, nah. I want you shit. If you gonna run, like no drone strikes in the city. Type of shit. Like drones can't shoot guns within X amount of space or X amount of population. So then dispatch troopers, and hopefully troopers can be ran by actual people in the game.
Oh yeah, they would. There'd be people that love just go around fucking people up for doing stupid shit.
And I mean, and I would add in bots as well, but you wouldn't make them like super intelligent.
Yeah, no.
Or you would give them varying degrees. If we send out the detective units, they on they shit.
Because like if you give players like title of enforcer or some shit, right? And they get an updated mission, be like, oh, if you can catch so and so and kill or apprehend them, blah blah, you give them some type of like decent incentive.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you better believe that motherfucker gonna die today.
But I mean, and if somebody decides to set up a drug world and that's what they wanna try to, and they want to try to set out as their company piece, you're actively getting monitored by the police, and they will raid your place and take it and resell the space. Put your shit up for auction. I mean, it's a risk.
Oh, I know. But that's like
it's a risk.
Like I said, that's why like a lot of people wouldn't like my games, because like I'm the
and my thought for incentivizing the people to develop, let's say if you develop a house, right? You could take that house and resell that house development out to as many players as you want. And then we would just zone it. We would zone just like the real world, or just like Sims. You would zone it for residential, commercial spaces, things like that. But you playing in it, and it's an ever-changing world. And again, quarterly, as developers, I think we would add something, but we would create a purge and a space to add something. And potentially not even release every world. We would probably release 2 to 3 worlds in the beginning. Let people get in the hang of things, and then release the other 2. And on top of that, release the 6 additional to the public to develop. However they see fit for whatever type of world. And these could be whatever type of world you want to create. as an additional layer. You would just travel to these worlds the same way you would leave in GTA. You would leave. Let's say you board a flight and and that's the portal to the other world.
So how much do you charge for each world?
I mean, that would be. I think we would just look at the cost of what it would do
in the first
what
place,
it would be to host the server, and then but we're essentially telling the people we're gonna host the server. You own the world. You got to put in the foundation of the world, and we would sell you the parts. So that's how the company would make money. The people who own the property could make money by selling off pieces to the world. So it would benefit you to get your world popping. And I mean, and to me, I think we've already seen it where people have hosted servers, held down servers, and so we know customers would do it.
Yeah.
You would have to develop your world. You could talk to developers. You could negotiate real estate or property amounts that you would give them to develop your world out. And we would just open it up that way. And if you just open it up a marketplace where you could go in and you could actually negotiate and discuss with a developer, or you have an up and coming developer, or you find somebody, that shit would be fire. I think just a big, massive role playing game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that would hit in that niche for people that like Second Life a lot.
Yeah. A lot of people love that shit.
But I think you just got to give people enough like real activities to do that it becomes fun. Like the Fight Club, like car clubs, like different things like that. But could you imagine if you were able to sell off real estate and develop something for like car manufacturers to be in your game?
Yeah, there's some money to be had there.
And their cars could be no more than what you would purchase for a what's the little toy cars? The damn dog, I just had that thought and lost it. Hot Wheels.
Yeah, Hot Wheels.
They would be no more than the cost of a actual Hot Wheel, and it'd be resellable in game. Have manufacturers set up repair centers. Vehicle repairs could cost no more than 50 cents.
Yeah, that's like the Oasis in fucking Ready Player One. Kind of like a mixture of the two ideas, I guess, and the World Egg from Scroll.
Yeah, it's pretty similar.
I mean, I don't think we're at the point where we could develop something as in detail as they did in all the different game modes, but I think we can mimic the world enough.
Similar idea, yeah.
I think we can mimic the world enough inside the game that it would be fire. But in your entry points is different. You could have VR, and the VR experience would be similar to somebody who's controlling their character with a control. Except for VR will be first person and controllers will more than likely be third person.
Yeah.
Combat situations, you would be first person for everyone. Or, I mean, it would depend. I mean, I think I may leave that up to the actually no, you leave that up to the people and make it predetermined, make them determine the fight rules. Because if you're in VR and you fighting first person, you may not want to fight somebody who has the advantage of being able to see all their limbs move.
Yeah, the third person experience, yeah.
Yeah. Or seeing that extended view. So you get to set up your fight and in game betting, because you gotta bet.
You trying to give people gambling addictions.
One of the I want to give people access to and the ability to do everything that they want to do.
I mean, fair enough.
But I don't want the bets to get so ridiculous that you're in debt. You can't bet any more money than what you have. You can't bet off property. You can't. You can negotiate for specific items, not everything. Because I don't want people to just be out there flagrant. But like, let's say if you've bought your character nice items in the game, and you want to off some of those in a bet, do it. If they'll accept it, do it.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's one of the things I think. Like when people play like online poker and shit. If you're not playing for like your money, that's why you see the dumb shit, and that's why I don't do it, because it's like, why are you going all in every fucking time? Like that ain't fun. Like if this was your money, you wouldn't be going all in all the time, dumbass.
Right.
You know, quit with the bullshit.
But like the one thing I would give other servers, the 6 servers that are available, I would leave the rules completely up to them. Like we would code in thievery, but in the main worlds, if your house is in those main worlds, thievery can occur. Nobody could go into your domicile and take from you.
Just take your shit for the sake of taking your shit.
Yeah, because then it would just be break-ins like crazy.
All day, every day.
But nah, I think that would be fire.
Definitely could be.
And I think it's something that we could actually kind of develop now. Like that's why where to me, y'all think of it as Ready Player One. I do think it's kind of Ready Player One ish, but I think it could be done like today. Like,
well, I mean, to a degree.
I just mean in like the concept of the world building. I don't know about technology. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because like when we say that, it's because like in Ready Player One, a lot of the stuff was built by the community and it was just put in there, like right. And then it's the same with Sword Art. There was something called the World Seed, right? And it was basically they gave you the coding to make your own VR MMO. So it's identical.
That they used for the original game, so that you can start replicating it to make your own. You know, like the source code or whatever.
Yeah. So it was very similar, but no, that's the it's stuff like that.
That's where we're headed. I think that's where we gotta be headed.
I think in my game I would put like a permadeath system. You know what I mean? Like that, like, and then I wouldn't like necessarily like make people spend money on my game, put like microtransactions so that they lose all their shit, right? But like, I think I would put like a permadeath system so that when your character dies, you know, you have to make a new one. You know, kind of like in DayZ and shit.
See, I don't think I would want to be part of that. If there's potential, I could have all of this stuff and then lose it all.
Like I said, it has its advantage. Like I said, to me, it's semi unappealing, but it means like some of the risks I'll be smarter about taking, right? Like instead of gambling on the boss that I might be able to take, I'll reconsider, because it's like, I'm not trying to die today though. Like this took a lot of time. Maybe we'll grind a little bit more and like or try to find somebody that, you know, it makes you less YOLO everything. Which in and of itself sometimes adds depth to the game, right? Like because like if it doesn't matter, like if you die, you're willing to take the shot and then just be like, all you did was lose a couple minutes because you got, you know, shite on. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
since it's like you're making a new character, I'd probably do some kind of like lineage system in that sense, where you can carry over some sort of stat from your previous character, you know, like so that you're not just totally locked in.
Make it like an inheritance and make it tax the inheritance.
Yeah, and then tax the inheritance, exactly.
Be smarter next time, dumbass type thing.
Yeah, that would kind of be fire. I could see that. you inherit your character shit, but your old character shit, but you're taxed on it. So you forced to sell some of that shit off to repay or take a hit, basically financially somehow. Yeah, I can see that too.
It's more of a a death penalty as opposed to.
Yeah, but you got to start from scratch. You lose your job because you died.
You dead.
You lose whatever character, like
you're a new
specific character progress you had.
But it's also an opportunity to do new things.
Yeah, go in a different direction. Like if you was a janitor in the first time around, hopefully you learned enough and figured it out to where in your new life you could be a CEO.
Fair enough. A couple, pretty interesting concepts. We all pretty much kind of went down the same path of where like player freedoms were at the forefront. I think is kind of like the general rule of thumb. Let the players make a lot of decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is an interesting concept because that's not something I'm overly how would one say optimistic about at all times, right? Because innately I don't like people. So, but at the same time, it's like that volatility is what sometimes makes the shit fun, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's why, like in a gaming sphere, like having some crazy, motherfucker that's willing to eat it all can really change the landscape of something. And while like you don't necessarily always want that, having it happen does add new elements to your experience, right? So I could see where there's like a lot of upside for shit like that to happen. And it gives you the freedom to do what gaming has always really been about, which is to have fun and escape for a while. And if you give a person the freedoms to do that of their own, however they feel is the best for them, really is more conducive for growth, I guess, and bringing more people in, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we all want to express ourselves, and when you're in a realm that where like even if you're judged, you're not judged, quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
Because like you were talking about, like the RP elements, people want to do this. It's because that's not you, and you can you can do whatever the fuck you want, right? It is you, but it isn't. And having that like little mask of gaming on makes people just enjoy the shit, that maybe they sometimes can't enjoy.
Facts.
So I think for all three of us, that's kind of like something I picked up on. We all kind of letting the players dictate a bunch of the bullshit, which is probably one of the most insane concepts. Yeah, one of the most insane concepts you can like. You telling a developer that they'll look at you and laugh, but at the same time, like as players, we've seen it in multiple occasions. But it is a gamble because like if you do it wrong, it goes to shit.
That's why I think you got to give some foundation and some direction.
Yeah.
And at some point, the world will take over itself.
Yeah.
Because it'll flush out what it wants to be.
True.
And you got to give people the freedom and the creativity to go out and create their own world. That's why in my idea it would be 6 worlds that are created specifically from basically we giving you the bare bones of the world, and you create whatever parameters you want it to be.
Fair enough.
If you want your fucking place to be the moon and gravity is lower there and it throws off your physics, that shit is, you can develop your world that way. Or a world where let's say we put air as the number one source for people, and you make something else capital sourcing your planet or your world. And so they have to come in with suits. Somebody gonna swag them suits out.
Yeah.
Somebody gonna, you know what I mean? Like, come out with a goggle and mouth guard set that fits. But just shit like that. I think you gotta guide them early, but also give them the freedom to create what they want. Because there's gonna be sections of your world that's stupid because they gonna create how they want to create it.
Yeah, they're gonna be some dumb shit. Always gonna be some dumb shit.
But the other thing you also have to do is you have to retain the right to rezone and to shift places around it, so that you don't get a bunch of spaces that don't make sense together.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like a strip club next to the grocery store. You know what I mean?
That sounds like a1 sauce idea, bro. I don't know what you're talking about.
Like, I mean, just
like who doesn't want to go get eggs and then go to the strip club? Or maybe they want to go to the strip club and then go get some eggs.
I was about to say it would have to be the other way around because you would be an idiot to take your ice cream to the strip club and not eat it there.
I don't know.
If you don't plan on eating it.
Well, that's the ice cream. I mean, maybe you want to see what she can do with the egg, dog. Just saying, there's some motherfuckers out there,
It's true, but that's not the way I would want it to be. I would want it to be zoned properly. Put things that make sense together.
Have
be able to create a layout that makes sense.
Have
for
a brothel,
real world situation.
Have a brothel next to an orphanage. That makes sense.
Exactly.
Hell to the nah. Oh man.
The only thing that can be locked in place though is drug thing.
What you mean?
Like illegal assets.
Mm-hmm.
The user could lock them in place or not. If you choose to make it an illegal asset, you can lock it to the space that it is. That way.
Like, what do you mean? Like something that would be illegal in the real world, or what do you mean?
Well, illegal within the game. Like let's say you are setting up some type of drug organization, and you don't want your property to be moved around. You have the ability to lock that illegal property in place.
Operation. I see.
It may raise suspicion to the police, but it's not an automatic indicator of anything.
I'm not doing shit.
I ain't doing shit. What y'all over here tripping for?
Exactly.
Walk out.
It's something that's automatic. Police presence is heightened around those spaces, not to a ridiculous amount, but there is more presence.
It smells fishy, so more than likely there's fish over here.
Yeah, but they can't just jump to the conclusion that we're gonna raid that place because future crimes, motherfucker.
He said future crimes, motherfucker.
But yeah, something like that, man. I think that shit would be cool. But I don't know. The only reason I say you have to develop something for people to do is because early on people aren't creative enough to figure out what they want. At least I don't think so. Not from scratch.
50-50. I mean, that's why it would depend on who like if you could get the motherfuckers that do like motherfucking Minecraft shit into a game like that, like those people but that's assuming they pick up your game, right? Like if you got people that live and breathe those games like that where the creative space is just open to them, then shit will kick day one.
I'm talking about, I want every customer, because to me, I think if you give if you give some semblance of things to do in a world, you can gather every customer.
Oh yeah.
Because some people just aren't creative. They need structure.
You're not wrong. That I will not disagree with.
But yeah, that's my game in a nutshell.
Interesting.
Anything else? Are we good to wrap?
I'm pretty good. Yeah, my idea was pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, my idea leaned into your idea a little bit.
Yeah.
But the overall of it is we all want the public to have control.
Yeah, at least a more of a say in what happens as opposed to just constant linear. Yeah. Like I get why they do it, but I think we're well past the days where like you have to do this because like whatever. Especially if that's like the genres you're going after, right? But the day that stops happening, I don't know. Hella freeze over. But yeah, as far as it goes, you just giving players the ability to do more. I don't know. I can see why it's scary, from a developer standpoint and shit, but it's also, I mean, look at like Battlefield, right? They're giving you Portal where you can make your own basically game modes and shit, stuff like that. We're slowly seeing trickle, so maybe we're starting to lean that way more. Who knows? Only time will tell. Yeah, it's a nice thing to daydream about, I guess. Anyways, for next week's show, we'll try to come up with something probably similar like this. I did enjoy it. Of course, we'll bring whatever news, info, bullshit. Gonna try to stream some more throughout the week. Been getting a lot more consistent at it. Other than that, I'm trying to think of what else I might have had on my mind. I know Android is close to having his computer back up and running, so hopefully here pretty soon we can get some games in. I was looking at something the other day. What the fuck was it? Oh, I'm over here trying to figure out how the fuck I'm gonna buy this fucking game here in the near future, and then if you're interested in Humankind, right now I think I posted it in my Discord channel. I don't know if y'all saw that. You can get it for $20 less, the digital deluxe edition. So there's a little sale on it. I looked for sales on it other than that, and some of them they have for like $38. So the one that I linked is like 41. But I don't know the sites very well, so I don't trust them. Yeah. This one is like it's a GameSpot, is an exclusive deal through GameSpot for 40. It's like 41 after tax, right? So yeah. I want to get it. The sale only lasts until the 17th. I don't think I get paid again before then, so I'm kind of like, right?
Bro, Humankind looks like the fucking shit though. Like on some real shit, I would consider getting that actually.
Yeah, so I'm really hoping that I can figure out a way. Other than that, I'm gonna try to get on some PUBG. I might stream some PUBG this week. Try to get Life to make sure he's got it. Android gets his computer back. We might try to DM him into it. I'd love to see how horrible he is at clicking heads. Other than that, huh?
I said LOL. Probably very bad.
Yeah, it's a motherfucker, but that's why I like it. Other than that, yeah, it's a pretty good show. I enjoyed it, guys. Like I said, we'll be back next week with more, hopefully, good, something besides the same shit we've been talking about. We'll be out there in Ethos. Other than that, please give us a comment, like it if you like the show. Leave us something to work with here, people. Give us some feedback. We'll need it. It makes things happen. Like we might just cuss at you a lot, but it makes something happen at the end of the day. Check out the stream. Like I said, I try to stream in the evenings as much as I can. This week it should be like 7 to 7:30 when I start streaming. I usually stream until 10-ish. I'm not sure if I can do it all week, but I'm going to try to. I might not be able to Thursday night. But anyways, anywho, I'll be streaming. Check out the stream. Please come by the stream and say what's up. Been getting a little more traffic lately. I love it. I love talking to you people when y'all come in. Say what's up. Especially if I'm just playing League by myself. I enjoy the company. Other than that, I think... Yeah, we have... Yeah, never mind. Yeah, other than that, check the stream. Leave us a like. Leave us a comment. Until next time, get on my level, bitches.